Hey, Cam here from Xano Support, and today we're going to be going over importing test data into our database. We're going to be using wjson.com for that specifically, but the idea here is that we're going to be going ahead and supplementing our database with data. This is useful in the event that you're just starting out and don't have any data to use, or perhaps you have a front end and you want to see how the data will look on your front end. So with that, we'll be covering wjson.com's endpoints. We'll be covering CSV export as well, or CSV generation more than anything else, as well as importing that to create a table, and offset and limit pagination. So with that, let's go ahead and hop into wjson.com and get started. Let's go ahead and dive in to wjson.com and get it inside our database. On wjson.com, we have our docs in the top right-hand corner. We'll go ahead and click that. Inside, on the left-hand side, we have all of our endpoints. So our products, our carts, our users, our posts, our comments, images, and more. And this is not just for an e-commerce site. This is really just if you need test data. This is where you can come and get it. Now, we're going to be focusing on the get all products endpoint specifically. On this page, within the actual body of it, we have the different endpoints that we can actually use or the way that it works. Now, at the bottom or near the bottom of the fold here, we have our limits and skip products. And what this is saying is that this is how they paginate. They use the limit and offset, or the limit and skip in this case. So we'll go ahead and implement that. Now, while we're here, what I plan on doing is taking the output or this entire object and saving its schema. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to take this object, I'm going to need to convert it into a CSV, and then I'm going to upload that so that I can create a data table of this particular schema. So when I'm querying all of my records, very easily, I'll be able to save them. The way that I do this is I go ahead and copy this object, and then I go ahead and navigate over to our friend, ChatGPT. I'll paste my prompt here. I just say, can you turn this into a CSV? And it gives me the CSV. After that, I copy this into a notepad or a text editor where I can save as, and I'll select all files, and I'll do product.csv. And so once I've saved this, once we've done that, we can head back into Xano, and we'll go ahead and add a table. Our table will import, we'll click on CSV, and here we go, we'll select our product. So let's just take a moment real quick and go back into our object here that we're going to be saving. We're dealing with, it looks like integers, we're dealing with strings, we're dealing with decimals, as well as what we're dealing with is an array of strings here. So CSVs don't support an array of strings. Because of that, we're going to have to go inside and be okay with this format. We'll click upload, and then we'll go to our column, and we'll just change the text here to structure is a list. Perfect. So we actually have the schema of our data table or of the records that we're going to be saving. Let's go ahead and start saving them. In my API, I'm going to go ahead and navigate to my import dummy data endpoint. There's nothing here apart from just an API request to the endpoint. That's all of my products. I'll run and debug it. And this is my request that I get back. And as I scroll down, I have results and products, and then I have all of my information. So perfect, it's working. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take it and we're going to go ahead and save it. Before we do that though, if I collapse the products, we have 30 here. So the default is going to be 30. I have metadata. I have my total of 100 and my limit of 30. So it looks like a limit in terms of the parameter, the limit and skip here. This is controlling how many we're getting back. We're going to go ahead and take note of that and override that in just a moment. But in the meantime, I'm going to copy this response here. And once I've copied it, underneath, inside my function stack, underneath step 1, I'm going to go to data manipulation, and I'm going to add a loop. And it's going to be a for each loop. What we're going to do is we're going to loop over our products. We're going to loop over each result. That's coming back from my product data variable, so I'll select it. Actually, I'll select the subpath. I'm going to paste the result or the response, what I just got. And then now I can easily navigate this tree and select the array of products. I'll call each item a product. So for each loop, it's just a product. And then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and add or edit my product record. In my product results, the product is being returned with an ID. This ID we can use. So what I'm going to say is that my ID is going to be my product.id. And I can almost do the exact same thing for everything. Well, I can do the exact same thing for everything else. Since we have the structure, we have the schema, we can click on this pencil icon here and select product. It's going to match each item that's looping to the schema of this record that we're saving. And you can see now, as I unselect my eyeballs and I open them up, we have filters that are going to be looking at that particular value or that variable, and it's going to save the information to our record. So, perfect. Not a problem. We could go ahead and run this right now, and we'd have 30 records within our database. But there are a total of 100 records. So let's go ahead and get this working for 100 records. When we have this built out, what we're going to do next is we're going to add a while loop. So underneath our function, or underneath step 2 in our function stack, we're going to go to our manipulation, then loops, and then our while loop. And what are we measuring in this case? What's our argument? Well, this needs to continuously run, so as long as there are items to get. If we're at limit 30 and there's 100, well, we need to offset our skip or increment our skip. So what we should be measuring is, are there still 100? Okay, so if our skip value, so our product data, and I can actually hover over product data and take its subpath. Yet again, I still have that copied. I'll click define, and now I can go ahead and find this. So what I'm saying is if my skip is less than, and I'll select my subpath from my product data again, I'll go ahead and navigate to my total. And so I'll say if my skip is less than my total, and if this is true, it needs to keep on going. So I'll click save there. Once I have this, I'll go ahead and copy my API response or my API request at the top, and I'll drag it into my while loop, as well as this for each loop. I'll clone it and I'll drag it into my while loop again. What we're going to do for our step 3.1, so our actual API request here, we're going to add a parameter. And what is this parameter? This is going to be incrementing our offset or the skip. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be saying our skip value now is going to be changing. What we want to do inside our response is we'll go ahead and take our skip value. And for each time that this loops, we're just simply going to add the limit. So yet again, I'll take that subpath and I'll go ahead and navigate to its limit. So this is going to keep on incrementing in bits of 30 and segments of 30 until it reaches 100. And then we'll go ahead and check our database, and it should have all of the records, but everything here is staying the same. We don't need to modify anything in our for each loop within the while loop. So let's just rerun this. And as it works, perfect. We're going to go ahead and head to our database. We should have 100 records, and in the bottom left, we do. Sweet. So if we just page over, make sure all of the data looks good, and it does. We have our array of images. Sweet. Everything's looking awesome. So now that we've gone over dummyjson.com, we've explored their endpoints, we've gone over exporting a CSV or creating a CSV and creating a table out of it, as well as pagination, I'd say that you're pretty good to go ahead and now explore data manipulation and getting desk data on your own. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. And we'll include the links here that we used today within the description. And you can also get in contact with us inside Xano in the support chat or through the community. Awesome. See you next time.